And welcome, Finger Lakes basketball fans, to another edition of the Upstate Hoops podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. It's February 5th, 2014. Actually, it's February 6th, 2014. And this is our 11th episode of the 2013-14 season, and we're coming at you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. I'm Jim Sinacropi alongside my co-host Matt Verkey, and in just a moment we'll be talking all about the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues in high school basketball. We're coming down to the stretch. We're going to talk about sectionals, different classes, a lot to talk about, so we'll get right to it. The Upstate Hoops podcast is brought to you by Generations Bank. Generations of service for over 140 years. Visit them online at mygenbank.com and check out their new mobile banking app in the iPhone or Android app stores. And also by Red's Place, serving great lunches daily in downtown Seneca Falls. I had a roast beef and Swiss on an onion roll today for lunch, actually.
I love those.
Yeah, come on down and watch all the big games on one of their 10 flat-screen TVs, and check them out online at menshalloffame.com. And Seneca Meadows Landfill, responsible waste management for the next generation. See how they do it by watching their videos at senecameadows.com. Well, good evening, Verk.
What's going on, Jim?
We're really getting down there.
Yeah.
This is the last week.
By this time next Thursday, all the seatings will be set, and we'll be looking at some sectional brackets.
Yeah, and then the following weekend, so next Thursday's show, we're going to have all the seatings. We're going to preview all the brackets, and then the first round games get underway the following week. Yep. And there'll be a lot of teams with byes. Yep. And, one thing we're kind of kicking around is sometimes some of the top seeds get together and have scrimmages.
Yep.
And so we're thinking about maybe doing some type of remote episode from maybe courtside, but nothing set in stone just yet. So, like I say, a lot to talk about. Let's kick it off with Wayne County, the Wayne County League, where on Friday night, Gananda lost to East Rochester 59-50. ER improved to 11-3 with that win. Justin Rijo had 14. Phineas Jocks had 13. And then on Saturday, it was Clyde Savannah surviving Red Creek 64-58. Jake Slobe, 28 for Clyde, who's now 15-0. Joe Faniel had 20, and Jomaine Bogan had 20. So Clyde wins another one of these games against a team, Red Jackets 5-8. Slobe's a great player, but they only win by 6, and that's the kind of thing we've been talking about with Clyde all year.
Yeah, that Wayne County League, there's been a lot of close games, and I wouldn't say parity. Obviously, Clyde's undefeated, obviously, so they've done well in the league this year, obviously, and but we've seen teams like North Rose, Red Creek, East Rochester, Gananda, all really have a lot of close games, and East Rochester was able to beat Lions. I think Red Creek took Lions to overtime at one point. So a lot of parity in that league, and we might see some pretty good matchups come sectional times between some of these Wayne County teams and some teams from the West, and even Minders in the East. So it'll be fun to watch, see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, and Class C might be a return to last year where we had a lot of local matchups. Clyde, Minders.
Right now,
Lions,
looking at the Class C2, Clyde's the 1 and Lions is the 4. So they're looking at a possible semis matchup, which that could be in Waterloo or something, kind of like we saw the Minders Clyde game in the qualifier last year. So that'd be neat to another. It's always a treat. Lions Clyde. We could see it part 3. Unfold.
Speaking of Clyde, I got a little news break here for you. Apparently, North Rose Wolcott is up 32-25 on Clyde tonight.
Wow.
There's some action in the Wayne County League now. What
quarter is that in?
It's halftime.
Halftime.
Yeah, halftime. Lions played Sodas tonight and won, and apparently Damon Hunter got hurt. So we don't know many details about that, but he did get hurt, and apparently it wasn't pretty.
Okay.
That's all the report I got. So breaking news here on the Upstate Hoops podcast from the Wayne County League, and we'll try to keep an eye on that Clyde score as much as we can. But let me pull up the old Wayne County standings here, where Clyde's clinched the league. They got it won. East Rochester's in Minders class for sectionals, and
ER's the 2 right now in Class C1, and Minders is the 5. And then Bloomfield's the 1. So a lot of Finger Lakes in that class, and even Red Creek at the 8. They're a team all year long who. They've played Lions close. They played Clyde close. They've played North Rose Wolcott close. They've won a couple games in that league. They're a team who if Slope gets hot, they can make some noise in that class as well.
What's their Minders in East Rochester and Bloomfield's class, huh?
Yeah, Red Creek right now is the 8th seed at 5-9.
Wow.
So they might end up. They could play Bloomfield in the quarterfinal matchup, which would be pretty interesting.
And of course, Lions in the same class as Clyde this year at C2.
I had also heard that Bloomfield might have some injuries on their team, so I think they go to Dundee tomorrow night, so that'll be interesting how that all shakes out.
That was snowed out last night, I think.
Oh, was it?
Okay. Or no, a lot of West games got snowed out last night. That wasn't one of them, but they're going to be rescheduled the next week, a lot of them. But Dundee, Bloomfield for sure. Friday night, a game of the year in the West. Bloomfield winning the first go-around there. So I'm producing tonight. Our normal producer, Jeremy Hunt, has got the flu. So that's why I might be taking a little extra time.
Got a lot going
here.
on over there.
Yeah, that's right. Also in Wayne County, Lions beat Marion 74-30. Chris P.A., 16 points, 11 rebounds for the big teddy bear from Lions. North Rose Wolcott beat Williamson 73-41. Christine had 15. Jake Stevenson had 20 points, 9 rebounds. And then on Monday, North Rose went out of league to face Weedsport and beat him 55-49 out of Section 3. And then on Tuesday, Clyde beat Sodus 69-48. Cam DeSanta with a big 27 points in that one, improving Clyde to 16-0. East Rochester beat Marion 71-44. Lions beat Red Creek 78-62. Jake Slobe with 26 in that one. Damon Hunter, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Damian Scott, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And Gananda beat Williamson. That rounds out the action in Wayne County. And, Zach Young's Lions lost Nick Farah for a while. I'm not sure when he's going to be getting back. But if it's true about Hunter, too, then that's pretty devastating for a team that's kind of thin to begin with.
Yeah, Farah, obviously, it's a loss, but he's somebody who can, you can kind of fill his minutes. And obviously losing Hunter, who does, just seeing his stat lines from his last couple of games, not only is he scoring, but, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. You're seeing he kind of does everything for Lions, so that would be a devastating blow. And looking at Wayne County League also, North Rose Wolcott right now is going to be the 2 seed in Class B, 2. So, another team that, hasn't really made a run in the sectionals in quite a while.
Who else is in B2 from the Finger Lakes? Are they all
what do we got here?
Gananda?
No, Gananda's in C2 as well. Gananda is C1. Gananda is the 3 seed right now. So right now in C1, it's Bloomfield, ER, Gananda are 1, 2, and 3. Minders is a 5. Red Creek at 8. And then, but in Class, North Rose will have a shot in B2. It's you got Wellsville's 15-1. But after that, it kind of you got North Rose. Then Leadership Academy is one of the schools up in Rochester. Obviously, then Marcus Whitman's the 4. So obviously, some teams that North Rose could beat in that bracket.
Well, let's kick it over to the Finger Lakes West. We talked about Bloomfield already on Thursday night. They beat Naples 55-36. Also on Thursday of last week, HAC beat Honeoye 78-36. And Marcus Whitman over Romulus 71-28. Merritt Bailey 15 points for Whitman. And Dundee over Red Jacket 66-39. Cole Hartman 22 points, 8 rebounds, 4 block shots. Justin Brace 13 points, 10 rebounds. And then on Saturday night, Dundee played again. defeating South Seneca 73-42. Justin Brace and Cole Hartman both had 13. Devin Rogers had 15 for South Seneca. And then there was a bunch of games last night, Verk, that were on the slate in the West that got snowed out. And let's just take a quick look at those standings here. We got, that Bloomfield-Dundee games for a share of the title for Dundee, or an outright championship for Bloomfield. And Marcus Whitman, a nice surprise, coming from the east to the west this year. We're having a great season. And then Naples, last year's champs in the west, playing quite well. And HAC, a team that a lot of people had us keep an eye on early on. Also over 500 overall. And then you got your Red Jacket, South Seneca, Honeoye, and Romulus. And what a difference a year makes for Honeoye, huh?
Yeah, really a down year for them. Traditionally, you see them in the upper half of that Finger Lakes West. But, that league is all about Bloomfield-Dundee. And both schools will have a chance to make a nice run coming up in sectionals. Bloomfield's in C1. They're currently the number 1 seed, and Dundee is a C3. They're the 2 seed right now with Perry ahead of them. They're both, Perry's 15-1, Dundee's 14-1. Obviously, Wheatland Chile's 14-2, a good team. That's a team that Clyde just totally destroyed last year, I believe. So, not sure how strong they are. I think they're in a pretty weak league. So, it'll be interesting. It's always neat to compare and see how some of these teams from the West and the East and Wayne County do come sectional time. Because traditionally, Wayne and the Finger Lakes are, they've won a lot of sectional titles out of those 2 leagues. And we typically do well come sectional time.
Especially in the middle sections like C.
Yeah. Yep.
A little tougher for the Geneva and Newarks of the world.
Yeah, you get some, obviously you get, Charlotte, you get some tough teams in there. Batavia's been strong traditionally. Last year with Aquinas being down in that bracket. So this year it looks good for Geneva and Newark, and a possible seeing them meet up again in the finals.
Yeah, can you imagine that? All right, let's kick it over now to the Finger Lakes East, where on Friday night, Pal Mac beat Mid Lakes 68-53 behind 26. Mason Jones had 26 for Mid Lakes in a losing effort. Trevor Wager and Noah West 16 apiece for Pal Mac. Also on Friday night, big win for Minders, 59-49 at home over Penn Yan. Liam Carrer had 17, Luke Ruddy 16 points, a big 14 rebounds. Jason Anderson 10 points, 8 assists. And 13 points for Sean Emerson for Penn Yan. Geneva topped Waterloo 76-39. Ray Sims Jr. had 20. Terrell Johnson had 13 points, 13 rebounds for Brian Miller's Panthers. And, of course, they're tied atop the East with Newark, who defeated Wayne on Friday night in a game that we webcast live on Finger Lakes One Sports, 67-53. Jamie Rosser, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Derek Morris was a guy that really stood out in that one, too, 14 points. Shamar Logan's 10. Micah Wright, 9.7 rebounds, 5 assists. Micah also going to play football for the Maine Black Bears.
I saw that in the paper. Congratulations to him. Full athletic scholarship, and best of luck to him down in Maine.
And for Wayne, Lane Howard had 15, and George West had 15 in that game. And Hollenbeck, a little foul trouble, only 10 points in that one. And, Verk, watching that game courtside, Wayne, was up in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden it was just over. Newark just rolled over him. A little more intensity on defense.
Was the press get to him, or?
Oh yeah, big time. And a lot of it had to do with Hollenbeck was out of the game. Austin Lamora might have had a little bum ankle, although he looked fine. We heard that he might not play that game because of hurt himself, but he was fine. And Wayne a little bigger in the Newark, but when Newark decided they were going to turn on defensively, there was really not much Wayne could do, and they kind of blew him out at the end. So they were losing in the third quarter, and they end up winning by 15 points, or 14 points, and big game for Newark to keep pace with Geneva, who on Tuesday night the Panthers defeated Penn Yan 66-43 behind 16 from Terrell Johnson. Wayne went on Tuesday and beat Mid Lakes 50-39. Mike Hollenbeck 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 block shots. And then another, probably maybe the last real test for Newark of the regular season. Minders came to town. Newark wins 64-54, despite 22 points from Luke Ruddy. Micah Wright had 23 in that one for Newark. Jamie Rosser had 14 points, 11 rebounds. And then Palmac topping Waterloo by 6 points in a pretty good game in Waterloo, 53-47. Trevor Wager had 14. Nicholas Stenberg had 11 for Waterloo. And let's just take a quick look here at these Finger Lakes East standings, where you got the tie, Geneva and Newark atop the standings, and that's likely, Verk, how it's going to stay. I think Geneva has Mid Lakes this week, and then they finish with Palmac, and they got Palmac at home. You know, Palmac maybe a shot to beat them. Maybe Mid Lakes has played Newark pretty tough.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't see it happen. I think both those teams are going to finish tied for that league title.
And Newark travels to Penn on Friday night, and then they will have Waterloo at home to close out the regular season on Wednesday. So, potentially Penn could pull an upset. Potentially Palmac, maybe. But, yeah, I agree with you, Verk. That looks like they're going to share that title in the East. And then you got Wayne looking to come out of there with sole possession third, especially if Geneva were to beat Palmac. And then, the surprising thing here, looking at these standings, Palmac at 6-6, Minders at 5-7. The difference in that, the standings there, why Palmac's on top, is one game, and they killed Minders.
Yeah.
In a game that Wager was hurt in the first half.
Yeah, I still look for Minders to win out. They got Waterloo Friday night in game we're webcasting, and then Mid Lakes. They finish up with Mid Lakes next week. So Minders should finish 7-7. I mean, obviously, either Waterloo or Mid Lakes could beat them, and I think Palmac's going to drop their last two. So, I look for them to finish 6-8 and Minders to finish fourth in the league. Palmac ends the season with Newark and Geneva, I think.
Yeah,
or
right.
Wayne and Geneva, I believe.
And then Penn Waterloo, Mid Lakes round things out. Waterloo playing a little bit better as of late.
They've got some wins. They played Palmac tight the other night, so they're coming along.
And they, of course, beat Mid Lakes. And then who was their other win?
Was
it Penn?
Yes.
Yeah. So good to see them getting. They are young. And,
a lot of sophomores.
I'm thinking about, ahead to next year, if we were going to do any type of preseason ranking, I might see Waterloo moving up to the middle of the pack there.
Yeah.
So, well, we've got our players of the week, our top 10 power rankings still ahead, but we're going to step aside right now for 60 seconds while we hear from our sponsors.
We hold on to the things that really matter. Welcome to Generations Bank.
Hi, I'm Jody Torrio. If you're like me, you've got stuff lying around the house that you want to recycle, but you're just not sure how, like broken toasters, vacuum cleaners, or microwaves. At Seneca Meadows, we have a drop-off for those. Bring in anything with a cord, and we'll make sure it's recycled properly through our partnership with 2TRG. It's that easy.
And welcome back to the Upstate Hoops podcast on FingerLakes1.com and FingerLakes1.tv. 5 minutes ago, Verk, North Rose Wolcott defeating Clyde by 5. 5 minutes to go. And
North Rose up 5 with 5 to go.
Yeah. And, I think Clyde will pull that out. If you told me that they're 5 up, down with 5 to go, I think they'll find a way to win that game. If they don't, what does that do to their state ranking? They're number one ranked right now.
Yeah, they'll definitely drop. Obviously, losing to a North Rose is 12-3. They're having a great year and kind of been overlooked. They haven't been able to beat Lions or Clyde yet, but they played Lions tough. They still might have another game against Lions. I'm not positive about that, but not sure who they finish up with. But North Rose is having a great year.
North Rose Wolcott's hosting East Rochester.
Okay, so they still got
on
ER.
Monday, and then they travel to Lions.
To Lions. So
tough
obviously,
finish.
Tough finish. Lion going Clyde, ER, Lions. But hey, they beat Clyde, and
if they beat Clyde, the world. I mean, geez,
they could end up second in the league.
Yeah,
so.
which would be definitely more than anybody expected, despite having one of the best players in Wayne County, and Chris Dean. So yeah, hopefully we're gonna get a look at the end at a Clyde final before we get offline here. If not, then check out FingerLakes1.com later tonight for the full recap. Well, Burke, our players of the week, and this week I'm got to go, by the way, in case you haven't heard, if you are player of the week, you win a FingerLakes1.com t-shirt, which we're going to ask that you email us at upstatehoops@fingerlakes1.com and with your t-shirt size and your mailing address, and we'll send it right out. Now, here's a guy who's got a t-shirt already, but I can't help it. He's my player of the week again. Is Jake Slobe. We had him up in studio a few weeks ago. 28 points and 26 points in his 2 games. That's a total of 54 points in 1 week, 2 games. And Jake Slobe is once again my Wayne Finger Lakes player of the week.
You always get the easy picks.
I go first. So
I went with Jamie Rosser. He had 22 and 10. And then he came back, had 14 and 11 and against Minders, and he's kind of their glue guy. He doesn't get a lot of headlines sometimes, but he's having a phenomenal year, and I don't think he's been player of the year all year. So that's my player of the week.
Well, there you go, Jake Slobe and Jamie Rosser. Once again, that's an email to upstatehoops@fingerlakes1.com with your T-shirt size and your mailing address. We'll send it right out, even if Jake, you already have one. We'll send you out another one. Maybe we got white and gray, so specify the color too. Okay, moving ahead, Vert, to our Wayne Finger Lakes power rankings. Now, this is where we give our top 10. It used to be top 5, but there's so many good teams now. We switched it up to a top 10, and it doesn't mean anything, This is I was thinking maybe next year we get some coaches involved and we all submit a vote or submit a list, and then we aggregate it kind of like the AP and have some fun with it. But I actually dropped Minders down to 10 in my power ranking. So I got Minders 10, North Rose Wolcott 9, which they'll jump up even more if they can hold on against Clyde. I got Lions at 8, East Rochester at 7, Wayne at 6, and then I got the 2 West teams, Dundee and Bloomfield at 4 and 5. Bloomfield 4, Dundee 5. And then the top 3, I'm sticking with Geneva to 3, Newark 2, although it's virtual dead heat. And then I got Clyde 1. And, of course, that could change for Clyde, too. If they lose to North Rose Wolcott for their first loss, I would have to bring them back down behind Newark and Geneva. But you don't win 16 games in a season without, pulling things out at the end. So I'm interested to get an update on this score. How about you, Verk? Your top 10 power rankings.
Currently, I got North Rose Wolcott 10, ER 9, Lions 8, Minders 7. Then I got Dundee and Bloomfield. Then I got Wayne 4. And then I'm kind of switching up here. I'm putting Clyde down to 3. They struggled with Red Creek. They're in a battle tonight up in North Rose. And after thinking about this, I think Geneva and Newark beat Clyde if they play head to head.
And that was a big talk last week because we both jumped them up to 1 after seeing how impressive they were against Lions.
Now, kind of struggling with some of these other Wayne County teams. Teams that I think that some Newark and Geneva would handle. So I got Newark 3, Geneva 2, or Newark 2, Geneva 1, Clyde 3.
Yeah, I would. For me, it's not even about Bogan and DeSanto. It's about Faneuil and Tucker. We knew Bogan and DeSanto coming into the season were going to be so solid, but Turner and Faneuil have been the ones that have impressed me every time I've seen Clyde. Now, I'd like to go see that Red Creek game or maybe this North Rose game where things aren't coming so easy for them and see, who's struggling.
Right.
But yeah, I'll stick with Clyde. And so, who was your number 1?
Geneva
ahead of Newark. So we got
Newark, Clyde.
Disagreement there too. I got Newark 2 and Geneva 3. You got Geneva 1 and Newark 2.
Yep.
And that one might play out in the postseason.
That'd be nice to see again.
So quick look at the week ahead in the Wayne Finger Lakes. The final week of the regular season. East Rochester's at Williamson. Lions is at Sodas. So this is tonight. these games are underway. So Lions beat Sodus. North Rose will get in a dogfight with Clyde. East Rochester will soon beat Williamson, and Red Creek most likely beat Marion. Maybe Jake Sloba had 50. Friday night, tomorrow night, we got Geneva at Mid-Lakes, Newark at Penn Yan, Wayne at Palmac, and then the big Bloomfield-Dundee game. That's in Dundee, and I'm sure the gym's going to be pretty electric for that one. Marcus Whitman at HAC, Naples at Romulus, Red Jacket at South Seneca, and then Verk, we haven't even talked about it, Waterloo at Minders on Finger Lakes One Sports. We're going to be at Arthur L. Baker. We got a 3-man booth. We have yourself and Kevin Korzeniewski on color. Dave Barnick calling the play-by-play. We're doing the girls game at 6, where we get a look at great Waterloo girls team led by Lauren Deming and Lindsey Johnson. And then we're staying right there and hitting up the boys game. And as good as Waterloo's been playing, you wouldn't have thought going into the season that Waterloo would have had much chance in that game. But the way things have gone, it's no gimme for Nick Ciotti's Minders team.
No, and I went to the first game when these guys played. They did the same thing in Waterloo where they had the varsity girls play before the boys. And that was a decent game, going in the half. And, Minders pulled away. Just like most teams, Waterloo's going to struggle to defend Ruddy, and Waterloo really struggles to take care of the ball at times. They need to if they get some good guard play. Jason Anderson had a nice game against Waterloo last time. He had a lot of steals and breakaway layups. Waterloo just really needs to take care of the ball and get decent shots, and they can hang around with Minders.
Well, for the sake of our viewers of the live webcast, we're hoping that they do. I'd like to see a good game tomorrow. So doubleheader beginning at 6 o'clock. Right here on FingerLakes1.com and FingerLakes1.tv. Looking at the week ahead, Saturday, East Rochester's at Honeoye. A little crossover there. Kind of weird for a late season crossover like that. And then on Monday night, Clyde at Marion, East Rochester at North Rose Wolcott, Lions at Gananda, which especially if Hunter's hampered by any type of injury, that's a tough game. Lions traveling to Gananda late season here. Sodus is at Red Creek, Dundee. And they're probably going to make up these snow games from the west, which is Dundee at Marcus Whitman, HAC at Red Jacket, Romulus at Bloomfield, South Seneca at Honeoye. Nice chance for South Seneca to maybe pick up a win there. Tuesday night, South Seneca at Marcus Whitman. These teams are going to have to turn right around and play again because there's no time to push these reschedules out. Right. Dundee at Naples, HAC at Bloomfield, Honeoye at Red Jacket, and then Wednesday night, final night of the regular season, I believe.
Yes.
Mid-Lakes at Minders, Palmac at Geneva, Penn Yan at Wayne, Waterloo at Newark, Gananda Red Creek, Marion at Williamson, North Rose Wolcott at Lions, and Sodus at East Rochester. And then we're back here next Thursday night talking about it and talking about some sectional matchup. So do you see anything there in the final week that could really shake things up?
I just think North Rose has got an interesting week, especially tonight with they playing Clyde in a tight game right now, and then having ER and Lions. Could be a huge, if they're able to pull off 2 out of 3, I think that's a good week for North Rose, and could give them some momentum heading into the sectionals.
Yep. So we're gonna put a wrap on the Upstate Hoops podcast this week, unless we can maybe sneak one more Clyde update in. For our live viewers, we'll be back online at 10 o'clock Eastern, and Dave Barnick will be in studio work with us, I believe. Said he would. We'll see if he shows up. Now, Tyler Collins was supposed to come in from Newark Point Guard, was our guest tonight, but no show. So hopefully Barnick will show next at 10 o'clock. But at 10 o'clock, it's the Upstate Orange podcast. We're going to talk. It's going to be a great episode. We're going to talk about the Duke win.
Right.
They turn around and beat Notre Dame. And they're undefeated #1 team in the country. We're going to talk about it along with Brad Connor on the line. And then don't forget, as I said, tomorrow night. Oh, one last update. Just got it in here. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Oh, guess what? This one's from a little tweet from Brian Miller, Geneva head coach, who says, Clyde at Geneva scrimmage, Tuesday, February 18th, 3 o'clock. Be there. So maybe we can be there. And now I got one last update from Zach. Oh, my. North Rose Wolcott, 46, Clyde 36.
It's over.
Yeah, there's still some time to go here, I guess.
Wow, 36 points for Clyde.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, it's hard. We haven't seen North Rose Wolcott, so I don't really know exactly, what to think about.
But yeah, they've been in every game they played this year, and obviously, we've talked about Chris Dean. We've known about him. Never got a chance to see him play yet, but looking forward to seeing what they can do in sectionals and how they finish out the season in Wayne County.
And maybe we see him up in Rochester. Maybe that's our first look at him.
Yep.
Which really looking forward to. Great time of year to be a basketball fan. College basketball, high school basketball. The Super Bowl's over, NFL's over, so now it's basketball time for the next couple months before the Masters and baseball picks up and the weather gets nicer and we can maybe do some things outside besides shovel. So thanks everybody for joining us here on the Upstate Hoops podcast. We'll be back next Thursday night with our special sectional preview edition. So until then, for Matt Verkey and our poor producer Jeremy Hunt at home with the flu, I'm Jim Sinacropi, and we'll see you next time.
See you.